Hello everybody, I'm George from Ireland. Here I am at Heathrow Airport. That's right, LHR, as that's the three letters it's known by. You'll see it on your tickets. So this is the United Kingdom's busiest airport, the busiest airport in Europe. Not the busiest in the world, certainly in the top 10 though. So it used to be a Royal Air Force base, and in 1946 it became a civilian airport. So we're just to the west of London in the county of Berkshire. So it's only about 20 miles from the centre of London. So it's inside the M25. That's the motorway which forms a ring around London. M stands for motorway. Highway if you come from the Americosphere. Anyway, it's also the headquarters of British Airways. So it added more terminals. It had Terminal 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5. Terminal 1 has been shut a long time ago, so there are only Terminals 2, 3, 4 and 5. You can get here by tube, that's the London Underground, as in railway. Come here by train, railroad if you're American. The London Underground, despite the name, is not completely underground. Only about half of it's underground. There are other railway systems in London which are partly underground, but they interconnect with the London Underground. So come here by tube, or the London Underground to give its official name, or obviously bus or drive here. Their car parks, leave your car for a week or something like that. And there's a mainline train from Paddington Station, comes here in 15 minutes, every 15 minutes, or a slower train from Paddington which comes here in I think 25 minutes because it stops a few places on the way. But the Heathrow Express is the best train in the country. It's also the most expensive. It's eye-watering. It's about £40 for a journey of something like 15 miles. So one of the most expensive rail journeys in the world. And you see these big hangars for the various planes. So I can't remember which terminal it is. I think it's Terminal 5, which is only for British Airways, and the others are shared by many airlines. So make sure you get the right terminal. Now, Terminals 2 and 3 are very close to each other. If you get the wrong one, you just can walk down the corridor. Terminal 4 is a bit further away from those. Terminal 5 is much further away from those. So make sure you get the correct one. You can get a train on the tube, gets at Terminal 1, 2, 3, that's the same station. There's another station for Terminal 4, and again another station again for Terminal 5. So it's big. You're seeing the perimeter fence, and then there's the control tower yonder. Terminal 5 is the newest one. It's really up high. You can see for miles and miles around. So that's London Heathrow Airport. What's the feminist version of this airport? She-throw. How about that? There have been some notorious armed robberies here. 1962, that November, there was a robbery here. People say it was to get the funds to set up for the Great Train Robbery, because it was the same gang who then carried out the Great Train Robbery in August 1963. I think that's not true. They didn't need that much money to prepare for the Great Train Robbery. And the Great Train Robbery plan really only crystallised some months after this, the so-called Battle of Heathrow in 1962, they had a racing driver who reversed into heavy traffic and sped them into central London. So, yeah, what else can I say? In one of the terminals there's sort of a viewing area really up high. You have to be a checked-in passenger to see it. There used to be viewing platforms for some plane spotters, but they no longer have them. Yeah, the first plane takeoff is 6:30 in the morning, and then the last ones are take off 10:30 at night. So an 8-hour window for people to sleep. There are only 2 runways, which is very few for an airport of this size, serving a city of 9 million people. So Amsterdam Schiphol's got 5, Paris Charles de Gaulle and others have like 3 runways. So the second runway was built decades ago. People were promised there would be no Terminal 4 that was built, there would be no Terminal 5 that was built. They were promised there would be no third runway. They had been talking about that for a quarter of a century, and they still haven't done it. They initially decided they weren't going to do it. Boris Johnson said he would lie down in front of a digger to prevent it being built, and he pledged as Mayor of London in 2008 that he would do everything in his power to oppose it. Then when he's in the cabinet as Foreign Secretary under Theresa May, he made sure he was abroad when it came to the crucial vote on that. So he was not reneging on his pledge. Of course, he's allowed to change his mind. It's supposed to go ahead. There have been legal challenges to it. It was defeated in one court case, but then along came coronavirus. So passenger numbers fell to 5% of their usual level. Way back in April last year, that was the depths of lockdown. Now it's climbed a little bit. In August, the height of the travel season, they weren't even 50% of what you normally expect for that time of year. August is a month when airlines would usually make a thumping profit. So I always say that Christmas and New Year are the worst time to fly. Christmas, well, and August. New Year's Day I flew here once is very quiet, in fact, because there are long queues, there are delays, flights are bumped, and because of ice, they can't land, have to divert to other planes. It's a pain in the neck, but it's not so bad now. They've got these special lanes if you're from a European Union country when you could just scan your passport through. Now Brexit's happened, I'm not sure people are allowed to do that, but feeling they are. I mean, obviously people from the EU don't have the automatic right to live and work here, but they're very relaxed about them coming in, staying for up to 90 days at a time. Or if you're a foreign citizen who's a permanent resident of the United Kingdom, you can use those fast-track lanes. Obviously British citizens can as well. So you see the big kites landing and taking off. So anything else to say about Heathrow Airport? I mean, I'm against the Heathrow third runway for various reasons. I mean, I think this is too crowded an area. There's not enough road capacity. It might not seem like it from just now, but that's because it's very quiet with lockdown, and it's such a built-up area as it is. The airport should be to serve the whole of the United Kingdom, not just London. So I say build another runway at Luton. Not a very crowded area, close enough to central London, not too close. It's north and west of London, so close to the centre of the United Kingdom. That bit closer to Birmingham and all the rest of it, not so built up. You wouldn't be disturbing too many people with 24-hour flights. And because Heathrow, if they could increase capacity by 50% by simply allowing 24-hour flights and paying people compensation around here to soundproof their houses. And if you don't like it, you can move. There's been aircraft noises since 1946. You knew that. You moved into the area, so move. There are certain conveniences to living near here. There are more job opportunities, easier to fly in and out. And London City Airport, they could increase the capacity there because for several hours on a Sunday it doesn't operate at all. But they could only take fairly small planes. They have to go up and turn around the planes. They can't scoot. There's not a turning around area near the terminal and so on. Other options, yeah. I think Gatwick to the south is the wrong place to expand. Stansted is just too far away. So London's got several airports. They even talk about London Oxford Airport, which is ridiculous, but that's only for small private planes. There's London Southend, which is so far outside London, it's ludicrous to call it a London airport. Anyway, that's just a little bit about Heathrow Airport. Okay, toodle pip.